My brothers and sisters, today I want to remind you of a powerful truth. If pride still lives in your heart, your sacrifice is incomplete. You see, sacrifice in Islam is not just about giving up your wealth, your time, or your comfort. It's deeper than that. It's about surrendering your heart to Allah, and the one thing that stands in the way of this surrender is pride. Let me take you back to the very first lesson in the Qur'an about arrogance, Iblīs. He worshipped Allah for thousands of years. He knew the angels, he had knowledge. But when Allah commanded him to bow to Adam, what did he say? I am better than him. That one sentence ruined everything. It wasn't his worship that saved him. It was his pride that destroyed him. So don't be fooled. You can pray, you can fast, you can give charity. You can even sacrifice 100 animals during Eid, but if there is pride in your heart, that sacrifice is incomplete. Why? Because Allah does not look at how much you give. He looks at why you give. And if you're doing it to impress, to show off, or to feel better than others, then the essence of that act is lost. Look at the life of the Prophet. He was the most beloved to Allah, yet he lived with humility. He walked with the poor, he sat on the ground, he smiled at everyone. He could have lived like a king, but he chose to live like a servant. Because he knew true honor comes with humility, and true loss comes when you allow pride to creep in quietly, unseen, until it rots your deeds from the inside. My beloved brothers and sisters, this life is temporary. Our wealth, our knowledge, our status, it will all be left behind. But what remains with Allah is the sincerity in your heart. So the next time you make a sacrifice, whether it's money, time, comfort, or even your ego, ask yourself, am I doing this for Allah, or am I feeding my pride? The greatest sacrifice is not giving something external. The greatest sacrifice is letting go of yourself, your ego, your arrogance, your pride. And once you do that, your heart will feel lighter. Your worship will feel sweeter, and your sacrifice will finally be complete. May Allah purify our hearts and accept our sacrifices. Ameen. True sacrifice requires a pure heart. It's not just about the external act of giving something up, whether it's money, time, or effort. It's about what's happening inside you when you make that sacrifice. The value of your sacrifice in the sight of Allah is not measured by its size, but by the sincerity behind it. You can give a large amount in charity, but if your heart is filled with pride, if you do it so people will praise you or so you feel superior to others, then that act loses its spiritual weight. On the other hand, someone might give very little, but they give with a heart that is humble, sincere, and purely for the sake of Allah, and that small act becomes massive in reward. The Quran reminds us in Surah Al-Hajj, it is neither their meat nor their blood that reaches Allah, but it is piety from you that reaches Him. Allah is not in need of the sacrifice itself. He wants the taqwa, the God, consciousness that comes with it. That only comes from a heart that is pure, a heart that seeks Allah's pleasure above all else. Purity of heart means removing pride, envy, arrogance, and the need for validation from others. It means doing things for Allah even when no one sees. It means that your actions are not a performance for the world, but a conversation between you and your Creator. When your heart is pure, even the smallest sacrifice becomes an act of love. And when your heart is polluted, even the biggest sacrifice may carry no weight in the hereafter. So before you give with your hands, purify your heart. Before you step forward to sacrifice, ask yourself, is this truly for Allah? Because only then is your sacrifice real. Iblīs, the one who was honored among the creatures of Allah, refused to bow to Adam because of pride. This story is a powerful reminder of how destructive pride can be, even for someone who was once so close to Allah's mercy. When Allah commanded the angels and Iblīs to prostrate to Adam, every angel obeyed immediately, but Iblīs hesitated. He argued that he was better than Adam because he was created from fire, while Adam was made from clay. This refusal wasn't a small mistake, it was an act of rebellion rooted in arrogance and self-importance. Pride made Iblīs lose his place in paradise, turning him from a beloved servant to the enemy of mankind. It was his pride that blinded him from recognizing Allah's wisdom and the greatness of His command. This story teaches us that no matter how much we worship or how much knowledge we gain, If pride remains in our hearts, it can undo everything. Pride is like a poison that corrupts the soul and leads to destruction. We must learn from this and be vigilant against even the smallest spark of arrogance in our hearts. The real test of sacrifice and worship is humility, the willingness to lower ourselves before Allah's command without question or complaint. Without humility, our sacrifices are hollow, and our deeds, no matter how grand, can be rejected. So let us cleanse our hearts from pride, remembering the fate of Iblīs, and strive to be among those who submit fully and sincerely to Allah. Hajj and Qurbān are two of the most powerful acts of worship in Islam, and both teach us profound lessons about humility. When millions of Muslims gather in the sacred city of Mecca for Hajj, they all wear simple white garments called ihram. This dress code strips away all distinctions of wealth, status, and nationality. Rich and poor, young and old, powerful and weak, everyone stands equal before Allah. This outward uniformity reflects the inner reality that before our Creator, no one is superior to another except by piety and good character. Hajj is a journey of complete submission where pride has no place. Similarly, the act of Qurbān, or animal sacrifice during Eid, is not just about offering a physical gift. It is a symbolic act that reminds us of the ultimate sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, who was willing to give up what was most precious to him out of love and obedience to Allah. Yet this act is not accepted simply because of the animal slaughtered. If the person performing Qurbān harbors pride, showing off their sacrifice to others, or feeling superior because of their wealth, the essence of the act is lost. Both Hajj and Qurbān call us back to the core of worship, to humble ourselves completely and sincerely before Allah. They remind us that true sacrifice is not just external but internal. It means putting aside our ego, our desire for recognition, and our pride. It means standing before Allah as servants, not masters, as humble seekers of His mercy and forgiveness. Only when we approach these acts with a heart free from arrogance and filled with humility can our sacrifices be complete and accepted. Humility is the mark of a true believer because it reflects the reality of our relationship with Allah and with others. A person who is truly humble recognizes their own limitations, their need for Allah's mercy, and their dependence on His guidance. They do not see themselves as better than anyone else, no matter their knowledge, wealth, or status. Instead, they treat others with kindness, respect, and compassion, knowing that all people are equal in the sight of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad was the greatest example of humility. Despite being the chosen messenger of Allah and the leader of the entire Muslim community, he never allowed pride to take root in his heart. He lived simply, helped those in need, and always showed gentleness and patience even in the face of hardship. His humility was not a weakness, but a sign of his strength and sincerity. For a believer, humility means accepting correction, seeking forgiveness, and constantly striving to improve. It means lowering the self and raising Allah in the heart. When pride creeps in, it blinds the believer to their faults and separates them from Allah's mercy. Humility keeps the heart soft and open, ready to receive Allah's guidance and blessings. In truth, humility is not about belittling oneself, but about understanding one's true place in the grand scheme of creation. It is a recognition that all blessings come from Allah, and that without Him we are nothing. When a believer carries humility in their heart, their deeds are accepted, their prayers are answered, and their sacrifice is complete. This is why humility is the mark that distinguishes the true believer from one who only appears to believe. Arrogance is a dangerous disease that destroys good deeds silently, without anyone noticing until it's too late. When a person starts to feel superior to others because of their worship, knowledge, or sacrifices, their heart begins to harden. This subtle shift can turn even the most beautiful acts of devotion into a source of punishment rather than reward. A person may spend hours in prayer, give generously in charity, or fast regularly, but if their intention is mixed with arrogance or the desire to be seen by others, the value of those deeds diminishes greatly. The heart is a delicate vessel, and arrogance acts like a hidden poison that corrupts from within. It blinds a person to their own shortcomings and makes them blind to the rights of others. It causes them to look down on their brothers and sisters, forgetting that none of us is perfect and that all of us are in need of Allah's mercy. This silent destruction often goes unnoticed because the person may still appear outwardly pious and devoted, but inside their deeds lose the light of sincerity. The Prophet warned us against arrogance, teaching that even a small amount of pride is enough to lead to destruction. True worship requires humility, the recognition that all good comes from Allah alone and that we are merely humble servants trying our best. When arrogance takes root, it builds a barrier between the servant and their Lord, making acceptance of deeds difficult or impossible. Therefore, it is essential for every believer to constantly check their intentions and purify their hearts from arrogance. We must remind ourselves that worship is not for show or status, but a means to draw closer to Allah. Only when the heart is free from pride can deeds be accepted and sacrifices be complete in the sight of Allah. Letting go of pride is the greatest sacrifice because it requires the deepest struggle within the self. It is much easier to give away wealth, to fast, or to pray for long hours than it is to conquer the ego. Pride is rooted deeply in the heart, and it whispers to us to hold on to our status, our honor, and our sense of superiority. It resists humility and submission because it fears losing control and appearing weak. Yet, the greatest act of worship is to humble ourselves completely before Allah, to recognize that without Him we are nothing, and to surrender our ego willingly. This sacrifice is the most challenging because it means confronting our own nafs, our desires, and our illusions of grandeur. It means choosing humility over arrogance, patience over anger, and forgiveness over grudges. It means walking away from the temptation to prove ourselves right or better than others. This inner jihad, the struggle against pride, is a lifelong journey and the key to unlocking true closeness to Allah. When a person sacrifices their pride, they open their heart to sincerity and pure intention. They become capable of serving others selflessly, loving without conditions, and worshipping without seeking recognition. Such a person's sacrifice is accepted because it comes from a heart that is free and devoted entirely to Allah. Remember, no matter how much we give outwardly, if pride remains, our sacrifice is incomplete. But when we let go of that pride, we achieve a level of sacrifice that is pleasing to Allah, one that transforms the soul and brings us true peace and success in this life and the next. In the end, my dear brothers and sisters, sacrifice is not just about what we give up outwardly, but what we let go of inwardly. If pride still lingers in our hearts, no matter how much we sacrifice, our efforts remain incomplete. True sacrifice demands humility, sincerity, and a pure heart that seeks only the pleasure of Allah. Just as Iblīs lost everything because of pride, and as the Prophet exemplified the beauty of humility, we too must strive to cleanse our hearts from arrogance. Let us remember that the greatest sacrifice is to surrender our ego, to walk humbly in the path of Allah, and to serve Him with pure intentions. May Allah accept our sacrifices, purify our hearts, and grant us the strength to let go of pride so that our worship and deeds shine brightly in His sight. Ameen.